All right, we're back from Atlanta, the NRA annual meetings, and we're here with the head honchos, the big cheese, the big dogs at the NRA. John and Doug, you guys are the new blood at the NRA, at the top of things, although not necessarily new to NRA, but, I mean, we're here at the NRA show, so we ought to be talking to the NRA. Welcome in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so, I mean.
Great to be here.
I wanted to talk about this because I think our viewers, our listeners, they either know what's going on with you guys in the NRA, or they're kind of lackadaisical. So if you're watching this, comment, let us know your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, whatever. But what are you guys hearing right now, just in general, at this show?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in there, right? And there's a great level of energy right now. Yeah. Last night we were at our foundation dinner. Last year we had 400 people. Last night we had over 900 people.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So and the program was great. I think super patriotic, uplifting, fun. Mm-hmm. And we did pretty well for the charity, for the foundation. And the local communities are going to benefit from that. And I'm talking about kids programs, women's programs, talking about support for law enforcement. So everybody benefits out there in this massive two-way ecosystem because of our activities last night.
That's a good point, because people will think about the NRA, and perhaps they have different versions of what the NRA is or does, right? And you kind of mentioned it, you touched on it, shooting programs, youth programs. My kids are at this show, and they're a little bit older now. They're 11 and 15. But you know what they did yesterday? Before they leave, they go, we have to go take a picture with Eddie Eagle. And I was cracking up laughing because, yep, we had the DVD. We played it for them because I said we're going to teach them all the stuff the right way growing up. And that's, a decade ago that we were doing this. And they did. They took a picture with Eddie Eagle. You guys have had so many different programs. But I wanted to, if people were going, okay, the NRA, I've heard some rumblings, or I'm mad at the NRA or something because of what happened in the past. Who are these two guys here? Who's Doug? I mean, tell people about yourself.
Yeah, I'll let John go first.
All right, John.
You go, John.
Well, I started NRA as an intern, and now my role is Executive Director of the NRA Institute for Legislative Action. I'm also the chairman of our Political Victory Fund. Okay. So I oversee all of that. I'm in short, it's chief lobbyist. But I worked my way up through the ranks within NRA, and Doug asked me to take on this responsibility and jumped in head first. And in short, we provide the voice to our members in state capitals, in the federal U.S. Congress, in the White House, and in the courts. So we're the ones out there every day, and we have a fantastic team at NRA-ILA that's executing this and really providing that voice. So,
okay, been at the NRA for a long time, which is helpful, I think, to know how to maximize what's possible. But is John a gun guy? What does John like to shoot? What's your background?
Yeah, I mean, anything from over and under shotguns to machine guns and cannons. I mean, there isn't I always said last Christmas, right after I took this rollover, we took our staff out and we started with clays. We shot steel.
Yeah.
We shot a 450 nitro. We shot a flintlock. We shot 600 yards. We shot a 1928 Thompson and an MP5.
Yes. Awesome.
So, and that's our whole team is into that. So
yeah.
I'm a competitive shooter for a long time. And I have a second job working at a gun club. You can still find me hawking ammo at M&M Sporting Clays in New Jersey, where I'm from.
Just stop on in, get some clays from John. Doug, what about you? What's your background in this?
Yes. Well, I think I just in plain terms, been with NRA for about 12 years.
Okay.
I'm a publisher. I've spent my entire career as a publisher.
Because the NRA has a big media part of what you guys do, and people get the magazines, but there's also television shows and a lot of other media is a component of what you guys do.
We do. Our NRA media platform is multimedia, and so between e-newsletters and websites and the American Rifleman television show and millions of print magazines going out to our members every month. So it's a great business that we're in there, and that's our primary means of communicating to our members. But me personally, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a veteran, I've been a longtime NRA member before I came aboard as a staffer, and I'm really humbled and honored to be the executive director and the leader of this massive organization that is a very complex organization to run.
One of the things that we've said over this journey of improving the NRA, put it that way, is we want the NRA to be strong. We need the NRA to be strong. I mean, all gun owners do. What do you tell people who are like, I mean, I feel like we're good right now. We got Trump in office and all this stuff. I mean, do we have to be worried about this? Or, what do you say, John?
Well, look, first and foremost, I say this all the time. Good times can make bad times.
Yeah.
And there will always be changes in the political atmosphere across this country. However, now is the time for us to have our foot on the gas. Now is the time for your listeners out there to be engaged, working to pass concealed carry reciprocity. Contact their lawmaker. Ask for a floor vote on that in the U.S. House. Look at what President Trump is doing. Some listeners out there might have had doubts on Attorney General Bondi because they heard things in the past.
How are you guys feeling about it?
I'm feeling pretty good, and
Really?
and I'm judging that by actions.
Okay.
If you look at on a base level, they're working to get rid of the pistol brace ban, fix the frame and receiver rule. We're waiting on their comprehensive report, which I'm told is going to be substantial and significant. And the president is fully dedicated, and he has a complete team of senior staff in the White House who don't just know what the Second Amendment is, but they actually believe it. And they shoot on the weekends. They understand what self-defense is. They also understand what the real purpose of the Second Amendment is. So I think that's really, really critical for us going into this second term. We can make a once-in-a-lifetime generational change in our Second Amendment rights, and we're working on that every day.
Does the NRA have a voice in that?
Absolutely.
I mean, your guys have a seat at the table, so to speak. I mean,
Yeah.
they're getting input from you.
I mean, the day, without too much info, the day before that executive order came out, I was at the executive office building of the White House.
Yeah.
So talking with some good folks, and we have ex-NRA employees in senior positions at the White House right now. Particularly, I give Billy McLaughlin a shout out because I think all your listeners who are seeing those memes, I mean, he's the brain behind that. So credit where credit's due.
Good stuff. Doug, talk about some of the programs. We were starting to touch on that because we're here in Atlanta. There are hundreds of companies here. There are tens of thousands of people here. And the NRA is not only gun rights. It's not only shooting competitions. I mean, what are some of the things that maybe you guys are doing that people aren't as aware of?
Yeah. John's heard me say it before. I basically summarize by saying NRA does everything. So we have 3 museums around the country.
Yeah.
We have the National Firearms Museum in Fairfax, Virginia. We welcome our listeners and viewers to come and visit us there and see it. I think it's the finest museum of its kind in the world. But we also have range safety development. So if you happen to own a piece of property and you're a Second Amendment advocate and you have a lot of friends that like to shoot, well, then we can help you set that range up.
Wow.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel to do that.
Okay.
All right. We also, as you mentioned, we sanction hundreds of thousands of competitive shooting events around the country. And then you talk about education and training. We have 23 basic courses that we teach, everything from handgun, rifle, shotgun, and I could, in the home, security outside the home. And then we also teach 12 instructor courses. So now you become the guy that's teaching all of this across the various subject matter that we offer. It's the gold standard. I mean, we're the ones that created firearms instruction.
Right.
Gun
Absolutely.
safety. And I also, while I have a chance, I also want to commend you for bringing your kids to this show, because so much of what John and I are doing and so much of what we're fighting for as an organization is that freedom and liberty and Second Amendment rights will continue. And they've never been stronger than they are today.
Right.
John and the ILA team, this is their 50th anniversary. They've done a tremendous job. So we catch a lot of heat because we're the NRA. You got a lot of other 3A groups that do a lot of great things, but they don't do everything, and then they don't deal with all the fallout that we do.
Sure.
Because right?
You're gonna catch heat. You're like, I don't know, tip of the spear. You're this big shield that everybody's banging against because that's just, you're gonna be the battering ram of that stuff. And it's so important. You talk about the education part. You talk about the different ways, and I've always said there's so many different ways that people can enjoy guns, right? Some people are in the historical part of it. Some are in the very techie part of how does this work? It's a blow-about action, and gases and this and that. Some people are just competition shooters. Let's blow it down. And you guys are not just tactical or just hunting or all these places. You're kind of like, yeah, we're everything to everybody as far as the gun side of things go.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in real quick. I mean, we have a program called Firearms for Freedom. So you have millions of gun owners out there, and my father passes away, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my dad's collection of firearms. My mother is an example. And so you can reach out to the NRA, and we can make sure that we get a fair valuation on those firearms if you want to donate those firearms to the NRA. Point being, we can help people who have come into these firearms that may not be as familiar as that original owner, and we can put them in the right place.
That's a big deal because we hear that all the time. I'm sure other people do. If you're the gun guy in your family or your friend group, hey, my dad left all these guns to my mom or whatever. And let's be honest, the baby boomer generation is getting older, and they're passing, and they're there's a lot of people going, what do we do with all these guns? That's a cool service because that's a common challenge that people run into. And what you're saying is you can help them if they wanted to. They could donate those to the NRA as a fundraiser kind of donation, but they could also just take that information and figure out what to do with them?
Well, what happens is there are people out there, some of them unscrupulous, that will see that there's an opportunity, and so they'll say, this Colt Python is worth $1,000. We know what a Colt Python's worth.
I'll take that Thompson gun off your hands for $1,500, little lady.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
So we're here to provide a service so that there's fair value that's distributed, but the firearms, they end up in a good home. They find a nice resting place or a place that they can be utilized by the next generation. Yeah. And so ultimately, we want people to join the NRA. We want people to understand that when their $35 or $45 is contributed, there's a return on that investment. We're providing a lot of services that they don't know about. John, you might even talk about law enforcement and that program.
Yeah, I mean, actually, if you look at our membership, we have a special membership for law enforcement officers that comes with a death benefit. We hope that never happens, but unfortunately, it's an extremely dangerous job. They're out there on the front lines every day. But if something would happen, there's a benefit of $35,000 that gets paid right away to the family. So these are all the things that go on within the whole umbrella of NRA. I mean, we have a lot of quote-unquote products. They're services, but if you look at them from a product standpoint, we hear all the time, they say, when are you going to talk about what you do? I go, if we talked about everything we did all day on social media, I mean, imagine what the algorithm would look like on that. So we try to be as we have property-driven social media areas where we can talk about those things, and then we try to do macro items. But one thing I just wanted to touch on real quick, you talked about all the programs, talked about Eddie Eagle, or you did. From an ILA standpoint, if you're a lobbyist, and for your listeners that don't really know how this works, it's kind of like sales. It's relationship building. But when you're in a committee hearing and you're testifying, we're not talking about flexing our muscles and how much money we spent in an election or how we're going to vote you out of office. We're talking about positive things NRA does. Eddie Eagle, working with law enforcement, training Americans to be safe with firearms. That's really where the power comes from with NRA is obviously our members vote and they're active, but it's a comprehensive program. And it's everything that touches firearms goes with NRA.
John, a question for you, and then I got one for you, Doug. So, yes, on the federal level, things are moving in the right direction, and I think you're right. That's the time to take ground. At the state level, talk to people about that, getting involved at the state side, because NRA is involved on the state level.
Sure. And if you look at the states, I mean, look, red states are getting redder, blue states are getting bluer. There is this political divide. And we're seeing that with legislation. There was a lot of temper tantrum-esque legislation after NRA's monumental win in the Bruin case that kind of changed the battlefield for Second Amendment litigation and the issue in general. But we're still fighting in Colorado. We had a tough session there. Governor Polis, I call it the Polis permission slip. You have to ask for his permission to exercise your Second Amendment rights now. But we were victorious in New Mexico, holding things back. But anyone listening, if you want to know what's going on in your state, just go to NRA-ILA.org. You have everything at your fingertips. sign up for an alert through NRA-ILA.org. I'm not going to fundraise from you. It's just the info.
They cannot make it easier. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, they make it so darn easy. And people, I'm busy. I got a job. Well, guess what? They make it really easy. I promise. Take 5 minutes from your Facebook time. Maybe get
and you
involved.
pop on NRAILA.org/litigation. You can see the 46 cases that NRA is involved with right now. There's comprehensive information there, and Joe Greenlee, who runs that office, is really killing it. I mean, he's an excellent litigator, and he's really working on behalf of the members. And most importantly, the gun owners in the country that don't realize they need us or any other pro-gun group. We're all out there working on behalf of everyone's rights. So the active ones that are here every day know it. But most importantly, we're still doing it even for the ones that don't realize they need it.
That's important. Doug, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Bunch of big challenges in the last, 4, 5, 6 years with the NRA. If somebody's watching this, they've heard lots of negative things. Why should they come back, support the NRA?
Yeah. When I got this job, May 20th, 2024, it was, I didn't know what I was getting involved in. I mean, it's a huge responsibility because we have been subjected to about $1 billion in negative publicity. So there were a handful of executives made some poor decisions. They're no longer with the organization, have an all-new management team in place. We have a chief compliance officer that has been joined the association.
Is that a new position?
Brand new position.
Okay,
His name's
good.
Bob Mensinger. Does not report to me. Reports to the audit committee. And
Perfect.
there'll be no malfeasance on my watch with John and his role. It's not going to happen. And so there are more checks and balances in place now than ever before. The members, the donors, the industry, and the staff, they can be reassured that we're going to make good decisions. We're going to be extremely judicious with member funds that come in. The dollars that we have will operate our programs, and those dollars that we raise for ILA will be used in the fight. And you mentioned the state level, local level, and the federal level. And these guys at ILA, this is his 50th anniversary, ILA's 50th anniversary.
Okay.
We've won a lot, and that's why we were targeted. And we continue to win, and we played a big role this past November when we took the country back.
Yeah, awesome. Well, as I said earlier, it's really important that we have a strong NRA. Give them a shot. Give it a look. If you fell off, it's okay to be mad at your family members, and then you say, I'm sorry. We all messed up, and we're making amends. Now, one of my favorite things, and this is a bigger thing, it's a group of like-minded people. As we kind of wrap this up and land this plane. This morning, I was standing here on the show floor to start the show. Tens of thousands of people are in here. It's loud. It's everybody's talking. It's boisterous. We're excited about guns and this. And then the national anthem plays. And everybody stops, and it's totally quiet. This is a group of your people, and these people are working for it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate you having us.
We'll be back with more NRA Show.
For more great gun content, subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. You can also watch the Gun Talk channels on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon. And of course, you can always find us at guntalk.com. Thanks for watching.